He looked around at the shadowy camp. Marashah was an amazing place, an archaeological complex in the heart of the Shephelah, the region of Israel between the coastal plain and the mountains of central Judea. It was also a shopping mall of ancient civilizations, from the Israelite fortifications of the 8th to the 6th centuries BC, to the caves cut to shelter Jewish rebels during the Second Jewish Revolt against Rome in about AD 132-135. The Hellenistic settlements of the 3rd century BC featured an underground labyrinth of caves and corridors, including subterranean olive presses, pigeon cotes, temples, and tombs. It was an incredibly well-preserved and intriguing site. And thanks to Yigal Havner's reputation and expertise, it was one of the best-staffed and best-run digs Rand had ever worked. Long before the Indiana Jones movies, most people who thought they knew anything about archaeology knew all the wrong things. Even his own wife and daughter had occasionally joked about Rand's profession, with some remark about digging up dinosaur bones. But Rand, like most archaeologists, had never unearthed a dinosaur bone. The only dinosaurs he'd seen were in museums he had toured in the company of his wife and daughter. Most people also imagined archaeology to be a glamorous and exciting profession, opening ancient tombs, discovering buried treasure, fleeing from elaborate booby traps, and eventually becoming rich and famous. Few things could be further from the truth. Archaeology is usually a tedious exercise, and most archaeologists never find anything spectacular. The vast majority enjoy adding even the tiniest detail to the world's understanding of past civilizations, and usually the treasures they discover are valuable only for what they reveal about the people who left them behind. As Yigal Havner loved to say, "It's not what you find, but what you find out that matters." Rand let out a heavy sigh and watched his breath dissolve into the air before putting his head down and walking toward the car parked a few yards from his tent. He tossed his clothes and computer into the passenger seat and folded his 6-foot frame into the tiny car. He reached for the key in the ignition. "Huh?" he muttered. He pulled his hands away from the steering wheel and searched the floor of the car. Then he craned his neck to look at the steering column. "I know I left them here," he said. He twisted awkwardly and patted the seat behind him, but found nothing. Then suddenly he spun around and faced forward again. He peered through the windshield and groaned. He was in the wrong car. His dusty white Fiat 500, a different model and color from the car he occupied, sat several yards away in the fog of the not-yet morning. "Story of my life," he said. He gripped his computer and duffel bag, one in each hand, and wrestled himself out of the car, shaking his head. He had been that way for months, ever since his wife had died. His life and his career had become a shambles, and he couldn't seem to rally himself. He'd spent the first days and weeks after his wife's funeral in a stupor, feeling numb both mentally and emotionally. He had pretty much abandoned his well-funded excavation on the island of Crete, and with it, he felt sure, abandoned his career as well, thinking he should stick around the house for the sake of his daughter, Tracy, who would have to graduate from high school without her mom. But the great gulf that seemed to separate him from his daughter had only widened in the weeks following the funeral, and Rand had nothing to fill the gap except drinking, crying, and sleeping an average of 12 hours a day. Until his friend Yigal Havner had called, inviting him to join the excavation at Marashah. He had done so, but still had been unable to emerge from his fog. It was more than grief, he knew. Joy's death had left a hole the size of a crater in his life. Though he had neglected his marriage and family for years while he crisscrossed the globe from one archaeological dig to another, Joy had always been there, the only meaningful relationship he had.